Hello everyone and welcome back to another very special Backlog Adventure video. Today, Abram and I are here to talk about Xbox and the games showcase partnering with Bethesda, but also they own Bethesda, so they're not partnering together, that we just watched. And we're going to give you our thoughts on it. And to be 100% honest, why it might be one of the best, if not the best game showcase I've ever watched in my life. But we're here to break it down. If you are a fan of Xbox now, you might not have been before, but after watching this, you might be. Join our Discord. That link is in the description. And while you're down there, like this video as many times as there were first-party games.
That'd be 11 times.
Whoa! I can't even like a video more than once. I don't know.
You got to make 10 more caps.
And subscribe, bell, Abram. Today,
yes.
We waited. We didn't spoil ourselves. We had to watch this a little bit late, and we have seen the 2023 Summer Games Showcase for Xbox Game Studios, and I'd say we were pretty pleased. We were pleased as punch. Does that sound right to you?
I think it does sound right to me, Tucker, because I just pulled up on my phone here for easy access. You have your own compendium of information, but I pulled up this little infographic that Xbox put out of all the games I talked about. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 by 4 is 24. Add 3 on the bottom row, 27. They showed 27 games.
Yeah.
And I think that what's most exciting for me personally is that I feel like I'm walking away with a plurality of games that I'm really excited to play.
Yeah.
Now, with any showcase, even Nintendo Directs, right, I feel like the overwhelming majority of things shown do not appeal to me.
Yes.
My metric is kind of like, if I leave a showcase with a couple games I'm looking forward to, it's a pretty successful showcase for me personally.
Yeah.
Then I do the sort of higher level Tucker Hazel pilled, was it a good showcase sort of gymnastic in my mind. But in this case, there's so much here that I'm really excited about. And I think that speaks to the fact that Xbox really did what they had to do today, which is sort of re-energize players in the Xbox brand. Because I have mine on behind me. I had to power cycle it because it was not turning on. I'm not sure why.
Aaron Beater always breaking his fucking consoles.
Always breaking my consoles. I went through a very big period of loving my Xbox being my favorite system, and then things started cooling off for a little while.
Yeah.
And you could say that things got quite dire on a larger scale for them as acquisitions aren't coming together the way they want. They're sort of being pounded in sales, and Redfall's turning out poorly. This was an important moment to gas the morale back up. And I think they did it exceptionally well.
Absolutely. I honestly don't think they could have done much better here, to be 100% honest.
I think there's a couple games that are conspicuously absent.
Sure.
But ultimately, that leaves me sort of with more of a, I wonder where they are type beat. Yeah. Opposed to when, you look at a PlayStation showcase, for instance, people are talking about the absences there, and those absences sort of defining the event for some people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where is Sucker Punch? Where is Band XYZ? Here, I don't think that the couple games, Indiana Jones, Everwild, 2 games I was really hoping to see, I don't think their absences take away from what a exciting and varied run-up of games they showed today.
No, absolutely. And so when I go into these sort of things, I try to judge it on that same thing that you were talking about. How many games speak to me? What trailers stand out in my mind? And I think that the worst showcases, some of the Summer Game Fests and Xbox showcases and fucking, I don't know, EA and Ubisoft shits from the past, those are the ones that feel like industry filler to me. It's a lot of things that seem a little bit samey. We're getting a lot of shooters, especially at Keighley events. We get a lot of games that are like medieval looking. It's like, okay, things are starting to run together. And I think what they did today was 2 very important things. Actually, let's say 3 very important things. Very good balance between first party and third party. Like, impressively good balance.
I disagree. I don't think it was a good balance. I think it was an unprecedented balance.
Yes. Most unprecedented balance, except for like a handful of Nintendo Directs will have like a good amount. And so that's one thing. Number 2, lots of new announcements. Most of things here were shown for the first time.
Yeah.
And
I'm waiting.
Oh, number 3. No, hold on. No, I almost forgot it.
I'm
number 3, very good variety in the games shown. Almost every trailer felt different from the last in terms of, is it from the gameplay? Is it from first party or third party? From the visual style? From the scale of what the game is? there was not a lot that felt the exact same here. And I think that is a huge blessing that I have felt weighed on a lot of Xbox showcases in the past. And I'm the kind of guy that goes back and rewatches them and see which of the games shown here ended up coming out, having any impact, yada, yada, yada. And I think today they proved that they know how to curate a showcase for, in my opinion, one of the first times ever for this. But what really crystallizes this being one of my favorites is that they really did show that they were turning a new leaf in terms of the games from the studios that have been in development for a long goddamn time that we announced 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, are getting release windows. And we're starting to hear a little more information and finally see gameplay. And we're announcing some new games from some studios we hadn't published games from before. And I think that's it's a special synergy here. Because even you're right, there are some games that are missing, but we saw so much that having 2 or 3 not shown, that would have just been like candy on top. Right. But it's not a problem that they weren't shown because so many questions were answered here.
Yeah, I think the really important thing is, the first half of 2023, nothing can be done about it, right? You can't go back in time and change what's happened. I mean, and they did have some successes. Obviously, Hi-Fi Rush was an astounding success. Minecraft Legends is a success too, but to a lesser degree, but still a very interesting success. I think their 2023 was always going to be fine, right? Mm-hmm. That was not really the trouble. Starfield and Forza, that's plenty. That's plenty for them for the rest of the year. And
probably 2 of the biggest games they'll do this generation.
Right. In terms of major games, what I was really concerned about was them addressing one of the points that Phil Spencer was making when he was interviewed by the Kind of Funny Xcast recently, which is like, the games are coming, but I understand from a player's perspective, you're tired of hearing me say that.
Yeah.
You need to see them. And I think we saw them because we now have a very robust selection of games already confirmed for 2024. Yeah. So it's not sort of like, in 2021 where we had this great run from Psychonauts through to Halo. And then we're like, and what's happening next year?
And it was nothing. The answer was one small game.
Right. And so I think that they instilled a lot of confidence in me in that longer term, and I think they also put some gas back in my Game Pass tank.
Yeah, definitely.
There's been, whether it began with Sacred Symbols or was just sort of populated by them, this notion that the Game Pass game at maybe a more AAA level, not to sort of cast aspersions with the quality of the indie games in Game Pass, but that AAA Game Pass title started to get a bad rap.
Yeah, it's on there for a reason.
Right, and I think that it now appears like maybe that reason is Microsoft's acquisition team is very aggressively looking for very high-quality titles to put on Game Pass.
Yeah, and that Game Pass thing is something that I've actually questioned in the past. You can look back at some of the discussions that we've done of Xbox showcases, and there's sort of been a push and pull from before I had an Xbox, when you did, when I was more invested, when you weren't, of us being like, what does this mean for the quality of these games? Is it going to overshadow them? Is it going to either be lost in the shuffle? Is this a great thing for us? Is it maybe not a great thing for these games? Lots of questions, but I think here I felt really comfortable with what they did, because you're right. These didn't feel like, oh, these are games made to be on Game Pass. Like, it didn't have the negative connotation. It was, oh, it looks like something that people are really actually going to want to play. And guess what? It's on Game Pass. Like, to play it day one. And I actually have on my list here everything underlined that is coming to Game Pass day one. And it's like 85% of the game shown. The only real examples of things not coming to Game Pass are like the biggest third-party games. Star Wars, Metaphor ReFantasia, which we'll get to, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, and Payday 3. It's like, okay, yeah, these are like games from the biggest teams. It's like, okay, it's fine that they're not on Game Pass, but it's also very important to note that even though they're not on Game Pass, Xbox was still able to court them into revealing their gigantic fucking games at this showcase and giving it a lot of third-party substance here.
Yeah, and menu even has, the infographic I have only has the subtitle in the kanji. What's the name of the Capcom game?
Kunitsugami, Path of the Gods.
Yeah. I think this looks awesome.
Which is coming to Game Pass.
And that's exactly my point. Yeah, they're even saying, hey, Capcom, you're working on this, what I believe is a new IP. I never heard this name before.
Yeah, let me double check.
Yeah, you do a quick Google while I progress the conversation. But I think that too is testament to not only the aggressiveness of the Game Pass acquisitions,
Yeah.
but also the commitment Xbox has to variety. Now,
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
for a very long time it has not been true that Xbox is Halo, Gears, and Forza, as
Mhm.
much as some people would like to purport that to be true. I think that's about as reductive as saying Nintendo remains Mario, Pokemon, and Zelda.
Yeah.
But I think that just once again, you say it to people enough times and they'll start to listen. Xbox is about sort of a multifarious library of games across the genres and
Yeah.
aesthetics and scales and everything.
Yeah.
And so from that perspective, I was really excited too. And it's also interesting the number of Japanese titles they had here.
Sure.
Because
Yeah,
obviously Xbox has always had a lot of trouble in Japan. They made a very
Mhm.
concerted effort at the start of the 360 generation with a lot of Akira Toriyama games, Blue Dragon, or I guess also Sakaguchi games, more what I meant with like Lost Odyssey and things. But that didn't work. And
Yeah.
there was a sort of feeling of like, oh, you know, should they even bother?
They
I'm
sell
still
like
kinda-
tens of consoles a
Right.
week.
and I'm still kind of the mindset that maybe it's not worth it.
Yeah.
But I think it shows a great belief in cultivating a diverse catalog of games that they
Yeah.
still say, you know, we have these challenges in the Japanese market, but the Japanese market, in my personal opinion, puts out some of the best, if not the best, games in the industry. We need to make sure that they still have a place in Xbox. So I think
Absolutely.
that this was just them gunning ahead, saying,
Yes.
you know what, Redfall, forget about it.
Yeah.
It's all about these games now.
And we absolutely have. I think
Yeah.
the again plurality of games here that they showed off does kind of like leave that smudge in the background. It's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
that happened, but hey, look what's on the horizon.
Hey.
And I do want to get to some of the specifics here.
Yes.
I think maybe starting with some of those Japanese games, because that's where our information about this showcase started, which was with Persona 3 Reload and Persona 5 Tactica being unceremoniously plopped onto Instagram a few days ago. But two of what I thought were going to be the biggest reveals here, and maybe to some degree they still are, but they didn't even feel to me like the biggest ones here, even if because they were already revealed. It's like, okay, whoa, hold the goddamn phone. Two gigantic fucking Japanese games coming to Game Pass. That goddamn, they really got it.
I mean, I don't even think that's the biggest Atlas announcement of the show.
True. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, Persona 5 Tactica doesn't really do anything for me. I don't really have any interest in that game. But what's this game called? Metaphor? I'm not even going to bother with the rest of the title.
Metaphor Refantasio.
Calling the game
It's not that
Metaphor.
bad. Yeah.
Refantasio. I can do it.
Look, you can do it.
Refantasio.
Yeah,
Refantasio. Atlas has, and I said this in our reaction, Atlas has this understanding of UI and art direction that I just wish they would apply to like a platformer or something, right? Because I'm not inherently... That's actually not a bad point. I'm not an RPG player for the most part.
Yeah.
It's challenging to captivate me, and I'm not sure that this Metaphor game necessarily does.
No.
But Persona 3 Reload looks very, very good to me.
Yeah.
This perfectly exemplifies why Game Pass is great, right?
Yeah.
Because I'll just give it a download.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give it a play. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I think that was a very cool announcement. And may the social media manager that accidentally scheduled that for the wrong time rest in peace. So
the Atlas ninjas have killed that man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other third-party games you want to focus in this area before we sort of transition to the Xbox Game Studios portion?
Yeah, I mean, my game of the show is not even an Xbox game. It's of course Star Wars Outlaws.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, it's not. I don't think that's really. Yeah, that's not a surprise to you. I don't think.
No.
A long time ago, we got sort of just like an image that said, "Hey, Massive is making a Star Wars game."
Yeah.
Goodbye. And then they're just
and that's actually how a lot
of
games have been announced from these big studios. That's how we heard about IO making James Bond, Machine Games making Indiana Jones. Like logo,
right? And both of those,
and then 3 years later,
right? I thought we'd see both of those, especially with Dial of Destiny releasing in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
it just made perfect sense to me that Indiana Jones would be there, but I guess not. But Star Wars Outlaws, as I said to you, the stock of Star Wars games is in a great place right now.
Yes, definitely.
Across what EA has been doing and Lego Star Wars. Mm-hmm. I think we are perfectly poised for the type of game that's been missing this entire time, which is a third-person, open-world Star Wars RPG with a bunch of planets and a bunch of shooting and quest lines to do. That's not really what the Respawn games are, even though they get closest.
Yeah, it's like 65% of the way there.
Yeah, but this, given Massive's pedigree, given the sort of game that Ubisoft has all of its teams make, I think will, as their game design does, check a lot of boxes.
Yes.
So I'm super excited, and as I was saying, even though I'm not very compelled by Ubisoft's catalog on the whole, there is a baseline Ubisoft quality for sure.
Yeah,
and the IP
they have been getting better.
Undoubtedly, yeah. And you put the Star Wars IP on top. I'm very excited, and I love, as we were saying, this sort of heist solo core adventure. We now know that it takes place between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So
I was about to say it doesn't everything, but usually it's between trilogies.
Right. So this is really cool to get properly stuck into that era. Usually, as you're saying, we are in those points of change. So I love the aesthetic already. I like the sort of broad strokes character things we see here. The promise of it being from Ubisoft is really exciting. Obviously, gameplay to come, but on concept alone, I'm over the moon about this.
Well, gameplay to come tomorrow, because that's the coolest thing about this reveal is, yes, we knew that Massive was working in the Star Wars IP land, but it coming with a, I think, great trailer right off the bat, really leaving an impact, really feeling very distinct. I think the aesthetic that it was doing with riding a speeder and having a blaster, and like, it's not Star Wars Jedi stuff, which we've gotten with with Respawn's game, but also lots of older games are also focused on that Jedi aesthetic and adventure being something on that smaller scale of grounded, sneaking into things, I don't know, whatever, and having a female protagonist and having this sort of like K2L3 droid with you and this little fucking Glupshido axolotl looking guy. Like, I am in on this, and I think that because it feels so different from what Star Wars has been, and then we're getting gameplay tomorrow, so we'll know what the game looks like. We're already hooked by this trailer, and then it's coming next year. This isn't like nebulous, down the line. It's fucking coming out. Ubisoft doesn't usually delay their games, so we will be playing this game next year, and that is, I think, a really cool synergy of announcement, gameplay, getting us tuned into both Xbox and Ubisoft, and then it coming within a reasonable time frame. Not like a lot of there aren't many games here that are nebulously down the line, and even the ones that are, I can feel the sort of general idea of these being like, okay, maybe it's like a year and a half away, as opposed to like 4, 5, next gen, who the hell knows. And Star Wars Outlaws, I think, is alongside those Japanese games that we're talking about, especially ones from Atlas, are just a great example of like, we got a big game here, it's coming out reasonably soon, it looks fucking awesome.
Yeah. What other big third-party ones you want to mention? I think I only have one more personally.
Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth had the weirdest fucking video game trailer of all time. Just Ichiban walking around with his fucking cock and balls out for like 3 minutes. That's it?
Yeah. It's really weird. I mean, those games are incredibly irreverent. You're like walking around, like doing shit in a diaper, I know.
Yeah.
Like, Yakuza is beyond me.
Yeah. But for me, actually, it was the smaller stuff from third parties that really grabbed my goose and held it hostage, which was Don't Nod's game, which Don't Nod's not like a microscopic team, but they're certainly not Ubisoft or Atlas, with a new game called Jusant, which looks like Ubisoft's climbing cliffs.
Yeah.
And it looks really cool. It's got a distinct art style. It's something very different from Don't Nod. I'm completely in on this. This is one of the games that doesn't have any release year or window or anything.
I thought it was fall.
I could be incorrect about that.
I believe it's fall.
Is this year? Oh, wait, no, you're right. Yeah, because it was like, I was thinking, oh, it's funny because you're like falling. Oh, the climbing cliff.
There's
you're right.
a demo today.
Okay.
It's Steam.
Let me scratch what I just said. Game coming out soon. Looked awesome. One of my highlights of the show.
Because I got a press release about this.
Okay. I was incorrect. I wrote down the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Oof. Is there a release date?
Demo available now on Steam. Fall 2023. I think that's it. But I'm just going to read a short bit here because I got a press release of when in Rome, right? Experience climbing.
That's not how that phrase works.
Experience climbing like never before in this action puzzle climber, a meditative journey to reach the top of an immeasurable tall tower and uncover clues along the way. Challenge yourself at your own pace, explore different paths, and unravel the secrets left behind from a bygone civilization with the help of a mysterious companion.
Yeah, you've got a little tooth guy in your backpack.
Yeah. Players will need to master climbing tools and watch their stamina to successfully navigate the tower. They'll be challenged to figure out how to best use their tools to explore different ways up as they go higher and hone their skills.
Yeah.
There's a little more than that, but this was another clear highlight for me.
Yeah.
As I was saying to you, I feel like climbing as a mechanic everywhere other than Zelda is sort of underplayed.
Yeah, definitely.
It's more of just like usually a set piece. So I think hinging a whole game around climbing, because actual real life climbing is like a super complex activity.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think sort of taking the tenets of that and putting them into this sort of fantastical world with this beautiful art style is awesome. So I'll be there for sure.
Absolutely. And that is something that's on Game Pass. So like, boom, automatic. Like that is something that I would definitely gravitate towards and buy anyway, but this just puts stock in like me being like, okay, I'm tuning into Game Pass this year for sure. And also for me, Still Wakes the Deep next year from the Chinese Room. It looks like the game adaptation of Deepwater Horizon. And I couldn't be happier.
It's unclear if we're going to see Mark Wahlberg or not in the game yet. Yeah. There were two games in the showcase that could arguably feature Mark Wahlberg on the Deepwater Horizon, and neither have done it yet. So I think it's kind of a game of chicken to see who announces that first. But no, I think that looks great too.
Yeah.
The last third-party thing I really want to talk about is not on Game Pass, and I'm not even going to play it on Xbox. I'm going to play it on that guy, PlayStation. That is Cyberpunk 2077's
Oh, yeah.
Phantom Liberty expansion, which I think looks exceptional. I don't really have a whole hell of a lot more to say. I was reading very briefly in between when we finished watching the showcase and recording this that VGC was reporting how not only is this a substantial new expansion to the game,
but, which we expect from CD Projekt Red expansions.
Yeah, given like Blood and Wine with The Witcher and things, but it also includes a lot of robust additions and fixes to Cyberpunk.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Overhauled AI, redone police system, a lot of shit. Like,
wow.
Which is really exciting to me as somebody who already loved Cyberpunk in its as you or Joe said, which I really liked, in its cyber fucked state. I loved the game then, but getting to revisit it in this expansion that's been designed exclusively for current gen is really exciting, and I love the narrative premise and seeing Idris Elba there with Keanu Reeves. I'm all in.
Yeah, I'm interested. I didn't know about that, like extra fixes coming to the game. Is that something that you can only get if you get the DLC, or will it be an update around that time?
I don't know, but I think most people don't deserve these things. So
that's a excellent point. Yeah, because I was just thinking, okay, so if I want to revisit Cyberpunk, which I'm not opposed to, I'm not above, should I buy the DLC and not play it because I don't like DLC, but I get the upgrades?
They're selling a new version of the game that has this included.
Gotcha. Okay. So. I mean, as someone who isn't into Cyberpunk, I still thought that looked cool. I mean, I peed halfway through it, and I came back to someone changing the color of their skin. You know, it was a little bit hairy there, but did look good. Very big thing for them to have here. We could have seen it at Summer Game Fest, but Phil locked it down instead of Jeff, and so it'll be fun like going forward to see who like actually grabs at the big reveals. The only other one that I want to talk about from third party is Thunder Lotus, the creators of Spiritfarer, which was a very well received game a couple years ago. 33 Immortals, the first 33 player game, and it looks like 33 player Hades, and I don't know, I think it looks pretty cool. And I believe that it's on Game Pass. So which is a perfect thing for a game centered around big multiplayer. Goofy, a weird number, kind of like it. It helps it stand out.
Yeah, I'm not sure this grabs me. Although I think that the novelty of 33-player multiplayer is quite interesting.
Yeah. That's about where I am as well. I'm not sure if I'll play it, but
I'm excited to see where it shakes out and what that ends up meaning. But Tucker, I mean, like City Sky. I think it's important to just note that the things we're not touching on, like City Skylines 2, these are big deals. I just don't think they're.
I think that's the only one we didn't mention. Oh, and Dungeons of Hinterberg.
I don't really remember what that was.
It had like this sort of like Sable art style.
Right.
and you're like a big
Yes.
sword.
Yeah, that one didn't do much for me,
Yeah.
I have to say.
That's really like one of the only ones that didn't stick out to me. I think the other ones being most of the DLC stuff, but I think what's great about this showcase is, again, the balance. It wasn't too heavily focused on most of that being trailers for expansions for like previously released games. I made the joke every time that I don't like these games, so they shouldn't make them. Of course, I'm being facetious there, but good updates to Sea of Thieves, Microsoft Flight. Actually, that fucking Microsoft Flight Sim update looks fucking crazy.
Game in there.
Like missions and different styles of gameplay. It's like, oh Jesus Christ, they're really fucking working on this.
Well,
and
it's
an
a whole different
ornithopter.
game.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it's a whole different game. It's Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. This is a whole different package.
I did not realize that. Like, you download it separately?
It's a whole new game coming out next year. Believe it or not.
Okay. Oh Jesus. Well, that's a way bigger deal than I thought it was.
MS Flight Sim 2024 is a new game, which I'm excited about. But the Dune thing is coming to the current Microsoft Flight Sim.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I would like to tool around in that, and the Monkey Island stuff in Sea of Thieves is very cool.
Yeah, that was funny. We lost our shit when we're like, Lucasfilms or Lucas Games. Is this gonna be their fucking Star Wars and Indiana Jones? No, it's Monkey Island, but actually that does make a lot of sense. And it's kind of a goofy little.
It's
little
the most, it's the most interesting one. I mean, it's cool that they're bringing Monkey Island back. Now, Tucker, we got Mountain Xbox Studios games.
We do. We absolutely do. I think. Which one do you want to start with? I think we should end with Starfield, as the conference did.
Yeah, I mean, so of these, I think, I wonder which one I'm most interested in as I sort of scan over this list. I might be most interested in Clockwork Revolution. This looks super cool.
It does.
This sort of cloud punk space has been explored before, but I think it's telling that's the thing. I think it's telling of the possibilities that still exist in this sort of genre of storytelling when you basically only point to BioShock Infinite. I mean, maybe
Elysium, the movie.
Maybe Atomic Heart, but Atomic Heart wasn't good.
It was on the ground. Oh.
But no, this was their show ender. Obviously, then they went into a secondary showcase overall for Starfield, but I'm really excited about this one. Now, this was the one that they didn't even give a release year for, if I remember correctly.
No, actually, both of the new. So there were multiple new Xbox Game Studios games. The two biggest ones, other than Microsoft Flight Simulator, which I didn't realize was a new game, but is also a very big deal. Were from In Exile and Compulsion, two of the studios that we didn't know what was coming next. We have a huge list of Xbox Game Studios, and for like the last 3 years, we've known what all of them were working on and had no fucking clue when any of them would be announced or revealed or had gameplay or whatever. And I think that they did a very good balance here of things coming out this year, things coming out early next year, updates on ones that we had seen stuff before, and like, when is that coming out? And then announcing some new stuff here. But for me, it was the two new games, Clockwork Revolution and South of Midnight, that really stole the show for me because they felt very distinct. I mean, when you think about the lineup of games from Xbox Game Studios that were coming that we knew before this, it was like, well, okay, they're doing a lot of open world RPG stuff. Are we going to get Everwild and Avowed and Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6? And it's like, okay, these are starting to get a little samey. But I do think that announcing games from these other smaller studios with a more distinct art style and gameplay and sort of realm that they're exploring is very, very exciting. And positioning Clockwork Revolution as their show closer before Starfield, which is, of course, the real show closer, but it, I think, does show a real big confidence in this game. And I thought it looked fucking awesome. I think they're like the quality of the textures and the amount of like weird little robotic guys going around and doing weird shit. I was very into that, and it's something totally different and like totally unexpected.
Yeah, there was a really nice commitment to new IP here on a AAA level and a sort of importance placed behind it. So you're totally right. Clockwork Revolution speaks to my sort of interest in shooters, but as you're saying, South of Midnight might be the most intriguing one. Maybe it's
No gameplay for that. That's actually the one we
Right.
got the least information about.
Right, and we really got more of sort of its vibes from across the bar,
Yes.
as I said. But I think that they're good vibes.
Yeah, definitely.
So those are both very cool. What other ones do we want to talk about? Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. I feel like it's impossible for me to get any more excited about this game.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just time for it to come out.
Yes.
And it's still not happening until 2024, but it seems like we're sort of zeroing in on a time.
Yeah. You remember when this was announced alongside the announcement of the next generation of consoles?
Right. I mean, it's doubtlessly going to be excellent, I think. And now I've got more time because I haven't played Senua's Sacrifice.
Yeah.
But I suppose I'm just not really, I'm not that excited to see it anymore at the moment.
No, I absolutely agree. I think that giving it something here was very important because it had been so long since we've seen it. And of course, also giving us a release year. I would have preferred it to have like an early or a month or something on it, but okay, 2024, fine, sure, I believe it. But I agree with you in that while it was important to have here, I don't think it showed very well. I think that having it be very, very slow and be ostensibly just one sequence, a lot of people, the whispers talking from the walls was pretty samey. It didn't instill a ton of confidence in me for this, but I'm in the same boat. It's like, I'm not less or more excited than I was before. It's just, okay, we got to see it again. But I think they could have done something better to show this game off. I think a variety of environments would have helped. I think that something more clearly explaining what the story of this is going to be or the journey would sell me a lot more on, like, okay, why am I jumping into this world rather than another sort of vibes trailer. And I mean, I'm sure if I A, had played the first game, and B, paid more attention to what was happening here, maybe there would be more context. But as someone who A, has not played the game, and B, was only like half paying attention to this trailer because it wasn't like immediately grabbing me like, oh man, I gotta shut up when this is happening. It was kind of just like, okay, yeah, I'm seeing the game again. Didn't really like spark anything in me.
Yeah, but I guess at a certain point though, they're just showing an unabridged section of the game as an illustration of, hey, we're getting there. Sure. Here's a feel for the narrative. Here's sort of the tone, and let's get inside this world in an unabridged way for a couple minutes. Mm-hmm. I think that's fine. I just
it was fine. It wasn't great, but it was fine.
Yeah, and I have no doubt that game's going to be exceptional. So I'm excited to play Sacrifice, which I own on Switch, but I'm not going to play it there.
No, God no.
Download it on Series X. Forza Motorsport is going to be no doubt a huge title for them. In what did they say? October, I believe it's coming. Early October.
10th. Yes.
Yeah, and this is one I'm certainly interested to download and try. Forza Horizon is certainly more my speed, but I've never played. Just as Forza Horizon 5 was my first game in that style, I have not played one of the motorsport ones. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. It could grab me. It might not. I don't know. I mean, it looks beautiful. So.
Yeah. No, I'm in the same boat. I've never played a game like this, but it looks like this might be the best place to jump in. I've actually listened to a couple conversations with the developers of this game, which is something I don't usually do for games I'm not interested in. But the amount of options, accessibility features, attention to detail they're putting in here is like this. In my mind, you asked me like 5 years ago, what's Forza? What's Gran Turismo? What are these fucking games? I'm like, racing horse shit nobody plays. I don't give a fuck. But I do think that like trying to attune my mindset to like, this is something that people work very fucking hard on, and seems to be a very high quality game and a big deal release for Microsoft, for Xbox, for fans of this genre. This seems to be a great entry from everything that I've seen of this, and because it's on Game Pass, absolutely. Just like with Forza Horizon 5, which was the first game I ever played on Game Pass, first new game at least. I'm tuning in. It'll frankly probably be a game I play for a day and a half maybe, and realize I'm not into the style of gameplay, but this is a very high quality game and bounce. But even having that experience just sort of adds that to my mental repertoire. So I'm excited it's like finally coming out and that we got a release date. It showed up at the developer _ direct earlier this year and didn't get a release date, which people were like, what the fuck's going on here? Aren't we supposed to be getting this in like the next 3 months? Because it was one of the games shown last year that was supposed to release within that 12-month time span. And of course it got pushed, but sure, October 10th. fine, good, good date as any.
Yeah, I mean the thing about these sorts of racing games is that they might be some of the most meticulously assembled games across the entirety of the medium. I mean the attention to detail that goes into capturing how these real world cars operate and translating that feel to the game experience is a level of detail and real world translation that's not always going into a lot of games. So
Yeah.
it's never a genre to discount, especially because it's there. It's incredibly popular, and Forza is sort of the dominant one right now. GT7 kind of shot itself, sort of punctured its own tire on the way onto the track, with its whole always online and microtransactions thing. So I think there's room for this game to speed ahead. So.
Jesus Christ!
Back to you for the weather.
The weather, I'm just going to go into another game. Avowed. We finally got actual whole look at a bunch of gameplay, a bunch of different areas, a 2024 release date. So that adds a very big game for them on the horizon alongside Senua Saga, Hellblade 2. And this, I think, was interesting for me. As I talked about in our reaction, that's the word. It was a game that I thought looked good. I thought it wasn't like it didn't blow me away, it didn't surprise me in any way. But Obsidian being, I think, one of, if not the most interesting developer that Xbox has under their in the stable, makes me interested in what they're doing. This is a game that's been long in development. They've got a really good pedigree, and if they properly market this, and I sort of get a little better understanding of what is this world, what is the story, what makes it unique, what is that Obsidian flair behind it, and it being on Game Pass, everything points to me checking out this game and it being very good. I don't know, it's something about it aesthetically or gameplay wise. It was like another open world fantasy game, and that didn't spark anything in me, much like the trailer for Senua Saga didn't.
I guess I don't see it as generic. I mean, Skyrim's the obvious sort of, or Elder Scrolls in general, sort of the obvious analog for Avowed, but I can't really, put my finger on too many other first-person open world fantasy role-playing games like this. Yeah. That are releasing around this time, especially none that have this sort of like a little bit cartoony, a little bit irreverent edge. Yeah, I mean
which Elder Scrolls has never had.
Right. I mean, I love the Outer Worlds. I think that's a really exceptional game. It's written very well. I think the art direction, it takes sci-fi, which is another trope in the medium, and puts that flavor on it. And I think that flavor is here too, in these sort of skeletons and these big weird creatures you're encountering and everything. I have no doubt that this game is going to be very, very high quality, and it's not as though Elder Scrolls 6 is coming out anytime soon.
God,
no. I don't see another sort of first-person fantasy RPG on the horizon that's going to be in conversation with it. So I'm very excited for Avowed, largely on the basis of my great enjoyment of Outer Worlds. So,
yeah.
No doubt that's going to be great. I don't really know which other ones here I have a whole hell of a lot to say about.
Well, there's only one other game, first-party game that was even talked about.
Okay.
There's two. The smaller one being Towerborn, which I have a couple questions about. I'm not quite sure I understand what the relationship is here. I don't believe Stoic, the developers of the Banner Saga series, they're not an Xbox Game Studio, but I believe Xbox Game Studios is publishing this game and marketing it and everything. Okay. So they're putting it out as one of their 2024 games. I don't know if this one really spoke to me in any particular way. It's kind of a co-op beat 'em up in a what they said it was ever-changing world. I don't know if I really understand what this game is, but it doesn't really appeal to me. But it is very different from Xbox Game Studios. From that regard, comparing it to what else is around, it's like, yeah, okay, this does feel distinct, but it's not for me. I think
I don't have anything to say about it.
Yeah, but there was one other big game that they talked about, which was they showed us the first look at Fable. Which was the big question mark. It was the big opener. They teased that this was going to be sort of the, a focus of this showcase, and it was. But this is, I think, maybe the reason why I put a little question mark on Avowed feeling very distinct is because Fable is the bigger name, and then depending on how soon this game comes after Avowed, it will be another open world fantasy magic and swords RPG from Xbox Game Studios. But it also we basically have no more information about this game than we did the first time we saw it.
Right.
Goofy British humor, fantasy setting, open world RPG. See it in the future.
It seemed like it was set almost in our present day.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah, because you see like a pair of like glasses. There's a little guy sitting.
Yeah, but I feel like Richard Ioedi, I think his name is something like that. I think it was just kind of like a goofy thing for the trailer. I don't think it was implied that like he would be in the game.
I don't know. I don't really understand this game, but I've never played a Fable game.
Yeah.
I have half of a mind, Tucker, to download one off Game Pass and just take a look at it.
Tool it.
It is tool around.
Tooling.
Do a little bit of tooling.
Yeah. It's a great character.
That's a great character.
His dungeon's kind of fun.
Yeah, he is. I was a little spirit fellow walking around with me, shooting guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got nothing to say about Fable.
Yeah. It is interesting that as their big opener, this kind of did the opposite of what this showcase was, I think, sold on in terms of turning a new leaf, is no gameplay for this game. There was something that like might be like cutscenes in between gameplay that we might have seen, but it was also kind of unclear. And no release date or release window or anything for this. This is kind of emblematic of what most of their reveals have been in the past, of Avowed, a couple seconds of, CGI, Contraband, a couple seconds of CGI. I think this was actually maybe the worst showing from here, but it is a big deal, and it's good that we're seeing it again, I guess, but there was no new information about this. This was just another trailer, a CGI trailer for Fable.
This is only the second time we've seen Fable, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
because it was a closing announcement at a previous showcase.
Yeah,
which was just like an animation and then logo.
I think that there was probably a necessity to reconfirm that it is progressing.
Sure.
Because the other sort of notable absence here that I forgot to mention before is Perfect Dark.
True. Very true. Very true. Which is in a similar situation. Though worse because it was announced before Fable was.
Announced before Fable. It's whoever wrote this copy, I'm sure, rused the day they published it. But the first quadruple A game. Obviously, we now know that Crystal Dynamics is assisting on the development of Perfect Dark. What the fuck is up with that game? I don't know. I think that this is sort of game that has a distinct possibility of never coming out. Yeah. So I think
new team, no information, not good signs.
Yeah. So I think part of the reason it was good that they showed Fable was to them say, "Look, it's coming. It's all right.
Yeah.
Here's another trailer for it." Mm-hmm. And I'm also sure it's the sort of thing that people who know Fable probably got more out of.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to see Perfect Dark as a sort of sidebar on this.
So would I. And I think that the ones that are missing here, I think, again, as we said earlier, it's not like a huge like bruise on this showcase because there was a ton of mix of new stuff, old stuff, gameplay trailers, CG trailers, whatever. But they still do have a lot of games that are in that, like, they have like 20 fucking games that are in that TBA. We don't really know. It's kind of mostly just a logo in a studio. Everwild, Contraband, Outer Worlds 2, Perfect Dark, Project Mara, State of Decay 3. Kojima's working on a game with them. So there is a lot, but that also just means that I think we have a lot of exciting stuff to see in future showcases. And hopefully, with what the direction that they went here, this will start a momentum of games releasing, which we've been worried about for a long time, but also a good mix between, okay, we've known about these, we're seeing them, we're getting release windows, here's a new thing, moving the cogs forward, a tick at a time. This started that movement, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think today, and I think I remarked this in our reaction, it maybe for the first time illustrated what like 24+ studios does to an MF.
Yes. We were seeing that Xbox Game Studios logo like every 6 minutes. I was like, I'm sweating under here. Yeah, you can't keep doing this to me.
Yeah, you talked about how we're sort of scraping for Nintendo and PlayStation announcements.
Yeah.
And this has always been the line, right? if Microsoft can get the release calendar underway,
Yep.
they're going to be very, very formidable.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like maybe that's happening.
Yes.
And Matt Booty and Phil Spencer were giving sort of a behind closed doors little presentation to press, and sort of the notes from that
A
are being,
presentation, if you will.
if you will, are sort of being recapped and shared online. And one of the things that's been noted in there was the affirmation from Matt Booty that they're targeting 4 major games a year,
Mm-hmm.
which means a major exclusive every quarter.
Yeah.
And then obviously games to slot in between. And if that's a cadence they can start hitting in 2024 and beyond, I think that's going to be a really powerful position, because if
Absolutely.
you already look at it, right? You have Microsoft Flight Sim, Avowed, Hellblade, and then what would the other one be?
Towerborn's also coming out, but
Sure.
that's not a major release. We don't have a fourth.
Yeah,
But also, notably, as you recapped to me earlier, Matt Booty said that there are 2024 releases that they have not announced yet, which is very, very interesting.
Yeah, so there's obviously time, and there's already that sort of slate starting to crystallize. And then if that comes to pass, I think that any problems Xbox is and has been having the last couple of years, it's just going to be a non-factor.
Absolutely. And I'm so excited for that to happen, because the sort of ups and downs, mostly downs, that Xbox has had have kind of made me reticent to get into their ecosystem to really...
Silver dollar word. Love that
yeah,
word.
It's a great fucking word. But also there are issues that we felt in spits and...
Spits and sparks.
Fits and spurts.
Fits and fits. Spits and...
From both Sony and Nintendo. It's like, oh, okay, this is a little bit of down year, whatever.
Yeah.
But Xbox, I think, got the oxygen of this year's conversation. Right. There were a few good announcements at Summer Game Fest. It was actually probably one of the better showcases that Jeff Keighley has done.
Sonic.
Yeah. And Ubisoft looks tomorrow to be doing pretty well with Star Wars, Prince of Persia, and Avatar, which I'm actually excited to tune in for the first time ever for a Ubisoft showcase. But this was positioned as, because the PlayStation showcase was pretty soft, they could take the air out of the room here. And I think they absolutely did with, I think, easily their best showcase ever, if not one of the best showcases I've ever seen. And I think that another key factor of this is what we're going to end on. They not only did a great showcase, but that then did one of the best single game showcases I've ever seen in my life. Starfield is a game that has been in production, as Bethesda's game software says, for 25 years. What that means, who the fuck actually knows? But I have been sort of up and down on it. Okay, new IP from Bethesda. That seems pretty cool. No information. That's not very cool. First look at it. Color palette's a little muted. It doesn't seem to have a ton of variety. I'm a little bit down. Oh, okay. It's coming out soon. It's going to be positioned as like the biggest game that Xbox ever done. Oh, that's pretty good. And then seeing this, today I'm the highest on Starfield I've ever been, in that every element of this game looks fucking awesome. They showed way more variety than they ever had before. They went in depth on basically every aspect of the game and showed the breadth of quality that they're going on here. And it felt incredibly personable. This was like fucking 40 different people that worked at Bethesda that were excited about different aspects of the game. They were in different locations in the fucking hyper-futuristic Bethesda Softworks headquarters, wherever they fucking live. I think this was one of the best single game showcases I've ever seen. And it turned me from, I like Bethesda and I'm excited to see what they do next, but this might not do it for me, to, yeah, this might be one of the best games they've ever done in a span of 40 minutes. On a very personal journey for me.
Yeah, I wasn't listening to anything that happened in that showcase, to be honest with you. But that's my fault, because a single game showcase comes along, like, for a game like Starfield, I don't care. Sure. Don't tell me anything. I'm going to play the game. It doesn't matter. But you're right, because ultimately, I don't matter in this situation. You were the person that they had to talk to, and they talked directly to you, because this is directly to you.
Yes.
There's been a lot of talk about this being maybe one of the most important games that Xbox ever launches.
Yes.
And I think that's 100% true. And it's true for Bethesda too, because Bethesda is not in a good place. I mean, you could probably say that their misses have maybe outweighed their hits, or at least been sort of par for par with them as of late.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like every year they have well received game.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure, but
Doom Eternal, Wolfenstein 2, Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo, kind of a miss. Hi-Fi Rush, that's a win. Redfall, that's a miss. You're right that it is up and down, but I think it's mostly highs.
it could be, but it's also, I mean, there's certainly a lot of people that are not especially happy with Fallout 4.
Sure.
And Fallout 76 was no looker either. Nor was Rage 2, and nor was Wolfenstein Youngblood.
Yeah.
I think there's doubtlessly been a sort of decline in Bethesda's stock,
Sure.
even for their successes, as you've been saying.
Yeah.
But Bethesda Softworks definitely had a lot to prove.
Mm-hmm, they're the core. They're the butter to the bread. No,
yeah.
They're the bread.
Yeah, so they're in a situation, not only is this game obviously very critical to them, but now it's largely what Xbox's sort of imminent future is hinging upon.
Yeah.
And I think they did it. I think that this game is going to be exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
I think that clearly whichever one of their shooter teams they brought in to help overhaul the combat did a fucking amazing job.
Yes.
I think
God, it looks good.
I think the gunplay looks exceptional. As you're saying, you already hit on a lot of the great points. The variety in the worlds, all of this is
funny creatures.
Yeah, down the line, you got your funny creatures, you got your interesting, choices you can make. All this, you building shit, you're shooting guys.
Yeah, great character creator.
It's Bethesda, right? But it's them sort of taking on the chin the lessons they've learned. When our combat needs to be better, the game needs to look better, it needs to run better. It's better. We just need better. And I think what we just saw was Bethesda doing better.
Yes.
And I really do think that this is going to be a significant release.
Yeah.
I've been saying, and I've been maintaining, that Starfield is going to be great.
Yeah.
There's no way it can't be great. This is sort of a do or die moment for a lot of different people.
Mm-hmm.
But I now have very little doubt that this is going to sort of be maybe the commanding release of the year.
Yeah.
I think.
No, I think that's definitely true. And I think today really did cement that for me in showing that it's not just, something's happening with Xbox.
He agrees.
Xbox on. It's not just, Skyrim or Fallout in space. They really are sort of taking this to the next level in terms of taking in criticisms, as you were mentioning. This seems like Bethesda Softworks at their next level, and maybe it's not apparent sort of from the outside when you're looking at a shooty game in space and do some quests. But this game, I think this breakdown was very important for me to show, for them to show me that this quality and the amount of time they've spent working on it has actually permeated to many different aspects of this game. It's not just a very good looking game, but it is improved in areas that their past games were lacking in. Fallout 4's gunplay being notoriously pretty clunky. The jankiness in Skyrim and the textures being kind of, behind their time. Okay, let's sort of polish things up, wait it out, make sure it's not janky. And of course, still might be. You still might be clipping through shit. There still might be some texture pop, and it is a very impressive game. It's on a huge scale, so it might be pushing hardware to the limits, but that's something we will have to wait and see when 10 million people have their hands on it in the first months, because no doubt they definitely will. And it's just so cool that, as I think you said, as they were wrapping up the presentation, this game is going to be ostensibly free to us.
Yeah.
And I think this kind of being the centerpiece of today for multiple obvious reasons, but then being surrounded by things that look very different and are from different teams and are coming on a different scale or on different, scale sizes. Third party, first party, Japanese, Western, DLC, not. I think I might be comfortable once I sit on it for a few days. I think this might be the best video game conference I've ever seen in my life. And it also changed my tune on Xbox. I believed when Phil Spencer went on the Xcast and he was talking about what kind of changes they're going to be making, that communication sort of made me feel like, okay, he was humbled and they are taking criticism. And I think they showed that today, of learning from their mistakes. This is a complete 180 from what I was feeling, 6-7 months ago to now. And it's really impressive that they were able to do that in a just under 2-hour presentation.
Yeah, as I remarked when that conversation came out, we never made a video about it. But as I said in the Discord, I thought that was a very deflating appearance Phil Spencer made.
Yeah.
because it just sort of felt like they were admitting defeat.
Yeah.
That he said, even if Starfield's an 11 out of 10, it's not going to matter. That's what he said.
It is, yeah.
But
well,
that's
something to that effect. That's not exactly what he said, but
he said like wouldn't move hardware. There's more.
No,
to it
he
than
said
that.
people wouldn't be selling their PlayStations.
Sure. No, but the point being, like, it's not gonna. The larger ethos, like, whatever game we put out, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's not the Xbox we saw today. We saw a very confident Xbox. We saw an Xbox that's going to give us as you said that I said, going to give us a very sophisticated, very important, very high quality game on Game Pass, which is maybe the first one that'll ever be on the service.
Yeah.
Not to say that the games that have been there before haven't been great, but that the games that make sense to be there, right? It makes sense to Halo Infinite. It makes sense all the things we hear. But now we're seeing the fruits of the acquisition labor pay off. We're seeing Bethesda's work pay off. It's a lot here. I think Starfield represents a whole lot more than just Bethesda's first new IP in a while. So
yeah,
I'm also feeling very optimistic after feeling quite deflated hearing Phil Spencer talk in a candid way that to me personally didn't feel sort of like empathetic and more sort of apathetic, I guess.
Sure.
So
sure.
it's
Ooh,
nice.
That rhymed.
Nice to see a very confident Xbox. Yeah. I don't know.
Damn.
I don't know if there's more showcases happening this summer. I'm sure there probably are, but we'll just stop here. We had a good one.
Yeah.
Call it good.
Well, we got 2 more good ones tomorrow.
2?
Ubisoft and Capcom are tomorrow. Ooh. So maybe we'll look at those. Maybe we'll talk about them. Who knows? But we got the crown jewel of the summer. And thank you, Xbox, for giving me a lot of hope and give me a lot of games to be excited for. I mean, they filled in some goddamn holes here. In 2024, look pretty good.